Hey, what's going on, Center City Church?
You already know.
It's Christmas. Ashley, where's your Christmas spirit?
It's after Christmas, but I'm wearing green.
I know, but I'm just saying,
I'm already thinking about the new year.
All right.
Actually, I'm already thinking about reflecting on the past year.
It's been a phenomenal year.
It's been a really good year.
A lot of changes, and but all good. And the Lord's been in the middle of it all. And man, we've seen people baptized. We've seen families come to restoration.
Yeah.
It's been a really, really good year. What kind of stands out to you?
I think it's just been a year of growth. If I had to kind of put one word around 2022, that's the year, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I get so far ahead that I'm like, are we in 2023 now? Or, no. 2022. And I don't mean growth and explosive numbers of people coming. We have grown, and I love so many of you who have joined our church family in the last year and have just become part of us. But I just think across the board, we're seeing people grow closer to God. I feel like we as a community are growing more into our identity as a church, which kind of makes sense because we really stepped out in that way this year. So I'd say growth. What about you?
The word that just kind of feels like it's permeating almost everything we do is relationship. Mm-hmm. So even in growth, it seems like the growth is very relational.
Yeah.
Some of that is kind of even some of the things that we did, like the introduction of family dinner and our Wednesday night group structure. To me, so much of the beauty of that is relational. Mm-hmm. Even some of the growth that we've seen on a Sunday morning, so much of it is, hey, Pastor John, I want to introduce you to my friend, or I want to introduce you to my cousin who just moved into town. So even that has been just a beautiful picture of what the growth looks like.
Yeah.
Seems to be wrapped up in that word of relationship.
Yeah, I like that. So if you had to look back just at the events that we've done in 2022, what would you say is one of your favorite moments from a church event?
Now, I'm just going to tell you, unfortunately, your boy is not great with looking back.
Don't worry, I'm super sentimental.
I've never been good. And it's unfortunate. It's been something that I've had to try my hardest at getting better at. But I want to say it was one of my favorite moments was our outdoor picnic.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. That's awesome.
It was just this moment where and I even went back.
This was Memorial Day,
Memorial
right?
Day,
okay.
yes.
At Park Road Park.
Yep. And we were doing I don't know if you remember, but we were doing our picnic right next to it. Looked like a family reunion or something, or it could have been after a wedding or whatever. And they were blaring music loud, and we were all hanging out. And there was just this picture there was a couple things that just kind of stood out to that moment. We have a very diverse church. And this isn't just me saying it. Like that picnic showed it in a way, like even the table. You had food that was Caribbean. You had food from, all the different islands, because we have so many Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and then, you had Haitian food, and you had food from Africa.
And potato salad.
And then you had potato salad. You had food from England. You had European influence. So
we have a good potluck table.
Yeah, that's exciting. But then also the way that everybody was responding to the random music that was coming up. You could see the people who were born in the 1980s and 90s, whenever a song from the 80s or 90s pop up, whether it was Run DMC or an old rock song, a rock ballad would show up, and we would all respond. You could kind of see everybody responding, and then if something newer came up, some of the younger kids started kind of chiming in, and something even older showed up. The seasoned saints even were kind of dancing with each other. There was just this collectively this eclectic mix of people, and it saddens me that more and more you don't see that a lot. You don't see different people coming together from different perspectives and different walks. And what I loved about that moment is not our church. Our church is a place where people from different walks, from different backgrounds come together, and you see the beauty of it when, you see a young kid like an Amari reaching over to a Miss K and explaining kind of what she's hearing, and they're dancing and laughing together. When you see my father at a dominoes table.
Yeah, that's where I learned that we have some serious dominoes players.
Yeah. And you look over and there's a 30-something, like a Colin or something, sitting down to learn the kind of mystique around this game that's been in our family for so long and in a part of our culture. It was a beautiful reminder of what God is building in our church. So that was probably one of my highlights.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. If I had to pick, it's not fair because it wasn't an all-church event, but we had our first women's retreat since 2019. Yes. This past fall at Lake Junaluska, and it blew me away. Like, I think everyone who was there, you probably feel the same way. I went in with decently high expectations, but the way that the women there just chose to be vulnerable. We only had 2 nights, so you had to kind of just go all in right at first. But also we noticed we had talked, those of us who planned it, beforehand about whether we were going to make people move seats for different sessions just as a chance to kind of get to know other people there. We never had to suggest it because everyone had that same goal. So every session that we had, people were coming in and saying, hey, I want to sit with you today. I haven't had a chance to get to talk to you, to get to know you. So to see people just choosing to not just be vulnerable with people they've known forever, but to be vulnerable with people they were just meeting. And then God showed up in a really powerful way. It was a great weekend, even though it rained the whole time.
Yeah, it was great, even as the husband of somebody who was on the retreat, to come for her to come back and kind of share all that the Lord did. And we're excited about what that means going forward. But that's not the moment.
Yeah.
We're supposed to just celebrate 2022. Yeah. So, in that same vein, favorite sermon series.
I knew we were going to talk about this, and already I was like, I don't think I have a favorite sermon series, but if I had to think of the one I think about the most, it's the James series. Yeah. Because we spent a very long time in James. What was it, 12 weeks?
Yeah, basically. The 4-week series that went 12 weeks long.
Yeah. And then that hashtag Blame James that just came up over and over again. But that idea of being slow to speak and quick to listen, that it tended to keep coming up as we went through the whole book, was something that I really needed to hear. And I think we all collectively need to hear because our culture is kind of telling us, be quick to speak and don't even bother listening. So it was really formative for me, that series.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, that was one of my top.
Was His Gift the second? Because those were the two I couldn't decide between.
Between the two of those, yeah. I think what happened towards the middle of this year, I think we started finding our voice as a church in so many different areas. Now, some of that has to do with kind of where we are as a church and what God's been doing. But I think both of those series were really formative in shaping our voice. And His Gift to me, when we studied, for those of you who haven't been with us for a while, but we studied this idea that Jesus teaches of the Holy Spirit. He teaches us about the Holy Spirit. So we just wanted to study what Jesus teaches us about the Holy Spirit in John. Not that all these other writers don't have, and we brought in a ton of other writers, but our base point for the study was based out of the book of John and all that Jesus taught. And it really did, very much like the James, this is your culture. You're going to be slow to speak and you're going to be quick to listen. And I think our church as a whole very much was not only is this applicable to me as an individual, but as a community, we want to strive, even in our city, to be known as the church that's slow to speak and quick to listen. But then His Gift also formed that this is how we're moving. We're going to move by the leading of the Spirit. We're going to move by this idea that there is a Spirit that dwells within us. And moving from the infilling of the Holy Spirit to the empowerment of the Holy Spirit, kind of how we ended that whole series, to me, I think was culture shifting for our church. So it was probably one of my favorite.
Yeah. Just in kind of the random category, are there any things that pop out about 2022 that you're just going to kind of hold on to moving forward?
Well, for those of you who don't know, we just went through a huge transition as a church, and 2022 will ever be the year of wells for us. Just this picture that we kind of found in the Old Testament of how God would ask His people to dig wells, and the digging of those wells meant for nourishment and sustainability for the family, but it did require the work of digging wells. I always want to be a church that's digging new wells. So I think that's one of the things that I will carry, and I think will mark our church moving into the next several decades.
Yeah, I even see that. One of the big things that we haven't talked about that blew me away was the generosity of our church family.
Yes, absolutely.
In that New Wells offering that we really just wrapped up, but it's not even wrapped up yet. Just the excitement of people to be able to give beyond our church. So the New Wells offering, if you don't know, was an offering that we did strictly to send out to partner organizations, not to pay our heat bill or anything like that. And we're still hearing stories of people who are like, hey, I got blessed by my mechanic and didn't get charged everything, so I'm giving what I would have been charged to the New Wells offering. And just that spirit of generosity, it's contagious.
Absolutely.
You know? It makes me really excited about where we're heading.
Yes.
So if you had to say, as our final You Already Know podcast to 2022, heading into 2023, what is your kind of pastoral word for our church family as we head into the new year? Not the word for the year. Sorry, guys, you don't get that quite yet. But
wow, that was heavy. Like I didn't think you were gonna. No, that's fine. I think we really had to look at who we were this year. And I think our vision is really clear. Hope for the broken, purpose for everyone. Because really, even as we were being reminded this week, as in our Advent journal, journaling through soap, what I'm being reminded of is the gospel is not complicated. Jesus has come. And Jesus coming first brings hope to the broken. If you're broken, there's hope to be found. But it's not just the hope of Jesus, but also the purpose we find in Jesus. So really, that's been the word for 2022 in a lot of ways. We've done everything we've done because we feel like it's positioning us to bring hope to our city and purpose for everyone. Even the Wednesday nights feels like it's very intentional opportunity to bring hope to people who wouldn't find it, and purpose, and equipping people through groups. So really, I think that's the phrase or the word for 2022. And the word for 2023 is incredibly exciting. And it's totally hinged on what God's done in 2022. It's amazing to see God putting it all together. And we can't wait to continue to share all of this. And it starts relatively soon in January. So
So to all of you, we just are so thankful that God has brought us together. And I don't want to miss a chance to end the year by saying, the church is the people. That's not just something that we say. You are Center City, and we're so blessed to be able to be your pastors. So excited about everything God has done, and we don't want to miss that chance to look back and be grateful, but we are also so excited about what He is doing and what 2023 is going to hold. So Happy New Year, Center City. We can't wait to see you. We will be here January 1st and ongoing. It's going to be a great year.
Yeah, and as far as this podcast goes, we're excited about some surprises that Ashley doesn't even know about. So we're looking forward to it. We'll see you next year. Happy New Year!